Hi, welcome to Ocean Rose Woodworks on the beautiful but cold coastal shores of Maine. Recently, my daughter came to me and said, "Dad, I need you to build me a kitchen." And as a good father, I said, "Yes, this is for a new house they're building." Uh, and then she said, "But I want them to be beaded face frames and inset doors," something she must have seen on Pinterest or something. And as a good father, I said yes again. Unfortunately, I haven't done that particular kind of kitchen in the past, so I've gone off and looked at systems to make beaded face frames efficiently. Certainly you can do them manually with applied moldings. Craig has a jig for a router table. Seems a little bit complicated to use. Certainly some folks on YouTube have built their own. Looks like it's a lot of work, but certainly doable. And I came across a system from Bruce Sommerfeld, Sommerfeld Tools, and I've used some of their stuff in the past. They make great router bits, and so I thought I would just give that system a try. So what I'd like to do today is just show you how you jig up and set up that system, some hints and tips on how to use it, and then just show you how fast you can cut the joinery for beaded face frames once you've got the thing set up. I think you'll find it interesting. This is my first YouTube, so the editing will be poor, the sound I'm sure is poor, the lighting is poor. Hey, but I thought I'd give it a try. So this is the box that the system comes in, and essentially it basically cuts a series of 45-degree chamfers and notches, and then you utilize a beading router bit to create the roundover. And these 45 chamfers and notches allow you to have nice looking, crisp inner joinery with the beads. So certainly you can go to Sommerfeld's website and some YouTubes where he demonstrates this tool and how to set it up, etc. It's pretty quick, but you can get a sense for it. First of all, you know, the core component of the tool is this humongous 1 5/8 inch wide, pretty close to it anyway, cutter head that goes onto your table saw. Now this will fit in pretty much any cabinet saw, to my understanding, as long as it has a 1 3/8 inch or greater arbor. This is on a SawStop Professional, which I certainly had my doubts with initially. You know, using something that's you know, less than an 8-inch blade, but I'm here to say that it does work. You have to just do a slight minor modification to the plastic dust chute. It'll flange it's a little bit in the way because of the width of the bit. Easy enough to pare off with a chisel. In addition to that, you have to basically either find a non-SawStop zero clearance fence and bring the blade up through it to create the opening, or as I did, I took my dado one and just happened to widen up. You can see that from here. The biggest thing when you get this is that you need to make a sled, and it's really required, and this is what I made. It's a 1 by 2 inch piece of 1/2 inch Baltic birch. I've got a you know, just some micro jig runners underneath of it. Works really well, slides very well. The key part is this extruded aluminum fence that I think you can kind of see. I'll just tip it up, but you can see that, and then some sacrificial MDF in front of it. This has a cutout that allows this blade to come through. And essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be having your boards. You have a set of stop blocks that you either have or you could build. Putting some micro adjust capability on it makes them just that much better. And then a second set of stops that allow you to come back once you've got it set up. And as you're doing multiple face frames, you bring it back and you basically lock them in that way. This whole system right here is explained in the manual. You know, it took a little bit of time to do it, but once you've got it done, it's a one-time task. And then the second thing is that once you've created the sled, in my case, I made the stop blocks and the stop stop blocks, if that's the way to say it, sacrificial fence, put it together. I went about adjusting it. It really wasn't that difficult to do, to dial it in, and then you're really good to go. And my sense is that you can build as many face frames or as many cabinets as you want. You can come back to it again as long as you don't move these stops right here or the micro adjust. It's kind of a one-off tool, so there probably isn't a real reason to do that. And it's amazing how fast you can essentially do the joinery once everything is set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some pieces for a face frame that I cut up, and I'm just going to show you how fast it is to cut. One other thing too that I forgot to mention is that as part of the system, and again in Bruce's manual and his YouTube he talks about this, is that I've got to stop in the miter slot that keeps this whole system from going too far forward and cutting through. The other thing that I will note too is that this aluminum extruded fence right here has a cutout that is the same geometry as the cutter head. Do not raise that up too high, particularly you saw stop users, because you'll touch aluminum and you know what happens there. I didn't do that, but I've done it in the past. You can see that. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've certainly touched aluminum in the past, and it's not a good thing. So keep that in mind. I just can basically slide these apart. I can check it, make sure everything is going good before I put power to it, put them back, I'm good to go. So let me go get those face frame parts and let's cut something up. Be right back. Okay, this is just some pieces of pine that I cut up. Now, one of the things that the system says is that if you're doing the large beads, then your rails and stiles can be only precisely 1 5/8 inches thick. Now, I think if you're just doing the outside rails and outside stiles, nothing in the middle, you can make them as wide as you want. It's that when you go into inner stile or an inner rail within the face frame, then you have to keep to that 1 5/8. They also have a small bead. I believe that's 1 1/4, 1 1/2 inch, something like that. Again, in the instructions when you get the component. So basically, what I've got here is a notch that's right depth. You can cut 2 chamfers on each side. You could test in there to see if it fits. And once you get that dialed in, you lock it in, and then you come and do the notch. Make sure the notch is going to precisely line up the style of the rail at that point in time. So, sounds complicated, but once you get into it, it's really not that difficult. So, I've got this set up already. I've already done it. I've got my stop right here. I've got this locked. Put my glasses on. I'll keep the dust protection off. It does make a reasonable amount of noise, and so what you end up doing is he says go all the way over. That's taking a pretty big cut off of this. I kind of tend to not quite go up to the stop, and I do this in 2 passes for the notch. So this is one end, so that's going to be what I'd call a half notch, even though it's bigger than that. And then I'll do the other end over here, and then for the middle one, I'll set this up so I line up, and then I'll get the next corresponding style so it lands in the same spot and everything lines up good. So here we go. Okay, that essentially is the major joinery cutting. So again, using my cabinet maker's triangle, I pause the camera, bring it to the router table on the other side of the shop, and forehand. So I'm basically going to create some beads like this. Let me get my pieces. Red down, as you can see. This is the beading bit, it's all set up. I'll just run it through there. It goes pretty quick. Nice bead detail onto that 4 to 5. Again, red mark down. Okay, joinery work is done. Let's see if we. Okay, so that's why I love dominoes, because they were just so beautifully self-centering. But pocket screws would work just fine as well too. Okay, got this one right here. Okay. Face frame. I think the joinery probably took, I don't know, I yammered on and all, but it didn't take long. Once you're all set up and you're doing this thing, I think you can get into a face frame probably once you've got your material cut and sized and dominoed, maybe less than 10 minutes to do something like this. So it's a pretty good system. It'll glue up really well. The dominoes, again, give you really good alignment. Joinery is very tight, I think. Kind of squeeze that together. There we go. Good stuff. So I won't glue it up right now. There we go. Because there's no big deal on that, obviously. But you get the idea. This is the first one I did, and this is one that's glued up and sanded, and it just looks really, really good. And so, again, you can, you can do, multiple drawers, multiple doors, complex things. Again, when you start going vertically, you do have to compensate your lengths, but always just kind of think in terms of this 5/16 cutout. You can kind of get an idea of what it looks like on the back side of it. What those notches are. So that's kind of the golden number to remember when you have to do the math. But again, hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate the time.